and welcome back. We're your hosts, Nadia
and Flawless.
And this is Ying Yang on Afrovibes TV.
So we have been having a sidebar discussion on a post that I saw that pretty much classified marriage as glorified prostitution. And with that particular point, my personal stance was that I agreed. Now, of course, this is Ying Yang, so we're giving you both perspectives from a spicy and the sweet side. And my rendition of that is I agree. My version is I agree. I feel as if when you enter into a marriage from the traditional construct, not even comparing it to today, that a young woman was supposed to be a virgin, separating from her parents or from under her father's care, to be taken care of by a male, to give her virginity away for essentially being taken care of, essentially, which when you look at it like that, it's just glorified prostitution, in my opinion. I don't necessarily feel that has changed. It hasn't changed for me personally. I just feel like, it just has a title and it has different roles, but the basis of it is the same for me.
I disagree. I think that marriage, number one, modern day marriage is nothing like the marriage unions in the traditional aspect. I feel like today the modern marriage is much different. So most people aren't virgins,
right,
to begin with, so they've already been giving away their body for free or whatever.
For free.
Yeah, for free, or they've been prostituting in real life already. Right. And also, there's a lot of 50-50 households, and also where women are having to contribute financially. I don't look at it as prostitution. I always said that I look at marriage as a trade-off of needs. You know what I'm saying? There's things that we all can do as human beings that we don't necessarily like to do. I like to cook. My husband doesn't like to cook. You know what I'm saying? So it's saying we all have these needs as human beings, and that you meet this person that you love or that you are doing a business with, whatever reason your reason may be for marriage. And you guys kind of divide those needs based off of which side could do it better. I don't see it as sex is the motivator.
The most beautiful version of how.
Well, because that is what real marriage is, and I feel like the problem is when I read the post and I read all the responses that she got and stuff, and I'm going to talk about the first response in general because she was like, I think I almost remember it word for word. Mm-hmm. She was like, me and my fiance at 5.5 years. First red flag, he was never going to marry you. Yeah. Me and my fiance at 5.5 years. He left our great, loving, supportive relationship.
I read that comment.
He left our great, loving, supportive relationship because we didn't have enough sex. Well, let me stop you there. That had nothing to do with prostitution. He left you and he gave you a stupid excuse. He was never going to marry you and he found his wife somewhere. And then he left his forever fiance. That had nothing to do with prostitution. So don't project that onto the union of marriage. He went out, he found his wife, he left you. He was never going to marry you.
Okay.
That was how I looked at it. It seems like there's a lot of dysfunctional relationships between men and women already without throwing marriage in the mix.
Okay.
And women have a very creative way of wording things to get shock value. Mm-hmm. Well, humans in general, but especially women, we're very dramatic. Mm-hmm. And we're very creative with the way that we word things to really
evoke an emotion.
So people can feel where we're coming from. And the thing is, if you put yourself in a prostitutional situation, you're gonna feel prostituted. So in that situation, you gave 5.5 years of your life and your pussy to a man that didn't marry you, and you feel used, and you have resentment, and now you're agreeing that you're prostituted. That almost sounds like you slept with a man that was married, and then you screamed rape. That sounds like the Me Too culture manifesting into people's takes on marriage.
Oh, that was deep. That was deep and crazy.
But it just came up.
Just keep going.
But is that not what it's... If you're looking at it black and white, that's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Because we could bring Diddy in, but we're not going to talk about Diddy. We ain't going to talk about Diddy. But it sounds like... Imagine, okay? We had the Diddy and the Cassie situation. And I'm not saying Diddy's right. He's 100% wrong.
Okay.
When it came to Cassie coming out... The thing is,
okay,
I have to be very careful with the way I say this because I'm not a feminist at all, but I believe I am a girl's girl. I always want the best for women. Now, you may not want to do what I think you should do to get the best, but I always want the best for women. I want you to pick the situation that serves you the most.
Okay.
And I feel like she picked a situation in the moment that served her, and she knew what she was walking into, and then that guilt later on, that disgust later on kicks in, and you can't live with yourself.
I just feel like
with that, and then you have to come out and you have to do something.
I feel like she used an opportunity. I don't really feel like it was a genuine, I think the lifestyle, what she was used to, and then when she transitioned to a different lifestyle.
And then the same thing as the 5.5-year lady, you have resentment.
I think there was a lot of resentment there.
And you feel used, and you feel disgusted with yourself for doing that for a person that didn't pick you.
And did not.
And then we get back into the pygmy culture and the Me Too culture. Okay. And all this stuff is coming full circle, okay? It's all coming full circle. So when I started reading the comments and watching the article you posted, it pissed me off, number one, because
the face you sent me was like, whoa, and I just laughed at it.
I was like, I can't believe this is even a
it's a topic of conversation.
But the thing is, if you marry a man for money, and then you're fucking him, really, it's your free will, but you're doing it when you don't feel like it. That's not his problem. He's not prostituting you. You're just doing it because you feel like you're going to get what you want in return. So you prostituted yourself, but don't put that on marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And I would say that,
because it's a trade-off of needs. It has nothing to do with prostitution. You're not fucking for anything. If men don't move for sex. Men can get sex anywhere. That's why they married you and they stay with you and they go get sex elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I know that excuse that he gave her of it was because they don't have enough sex was bullshit. As soon as I read that,
his needs weren't met. I feel like if a man tells you that you're not having sex with him enough, is because he's vocalizing that, hey, I may want to stay with you, but you acting real.
No, but she said that was the excuse he gave her to leave. When I read that, I mean, me knowing,
I read it.
Yeah, I read it immediately. You could paint the picture in your head. He left you because he didn't want you, girl. He gave you a stupid excuse.
He found somebody who fucked better and more often.
Or it sounds like he found his woman. Because it seems like he wanted a long-term relationship, but he knew it was going to be you, but he wanted you to stay around while he could
until he found it.
Right. And so it's like, if you're going to keep putting yourself, and that goes back to the virgin getting married. You know what I'm saying? As women, when we have sex, our brain releases oxytocin, which is the bonding chemical. Men also have oxytocin, but very low amounts of it. And that's the same chemical that's released when we have children. That's how we bond with our babies, that oxytocin. They literally pump it into our bloodstream to, induce labor. So it's very dangerous for us to go around and just sleep with any man because we get blinded by that bonding chemical, which is where soul ties come in. Like, you might not be a spiritual person, but you could call it oxytocin. You could call it soul ties.
I believe in soul ties.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. So when you're a man getting married to a woman, that ensures, number one, that she ain't pregnant when you marry her. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it comes down to. You carrying another man's child in your womb. Because think about it, you're an unmarried woman and then you get pregnant and you're dealing with multiple guys. Now the paternity of your child is in question. Back then they didn't have DNA tests and stuff like that. So the paternity of your child is now in question. And then he's responsible for caring for you financially. And he doesn't even know if it's his child. You know what I'm saying? And then it also comes down to those soul ties. You know what I'm saying? You having ties to all these other men emotionally and then coming into his home where he's responsible for you financially. But all these other men have had access to you and left damage on you, because that's what it is. Our brains, our bodies, our hearts, our souls, they get damaged sleeping with these men. So that's where the virginity aspect comes into. And it has nothing to do with prostitution and everything to do with you respecting and protecting yourself mentally, spiritually, physically as a woman until you're with a man that you know cares about you, will lay his life down for you and take care of you. It's not you're not selling your virginity. Let's get that clear, because he can go out and fuck somebody else. You can get married and not have sex with him, cool, whatever. And he'll go cheat on you, do whatever he got to do. It has nothing to do with sex. Marriage has nothing to do with sex for men. It might have had something to do with sex for men then, but like you said, brothels have always existed. They've been getting pussy. So it's not prostitution. You're not fucking him for any of these things. Let's be very clear. Because if that was the case, then the side piece would be getting everything you got. Because sometimes she might be fucking better. So it's like... You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
we have to be realistic. It's a lot of women projecting their resentment for men onto the unity of marriage, and that makes me feel disrespected as a wife
because you're a
that
wife.
believes in marriage, that wants my daughter to wait for a man that values her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I lost my virginity at 19. I wasn't married, but I wait for a man that values you. You know, it doesn't even have to be a religious thing, but it has to, just think about it scientifically. Protect yourself, protect your body, protect your mind, protect your heart, because you don't ever want the paternity of your child to be called into question.
Correct.
You don't want to be walking around with ties to 1, 2, 3, 4, however many men. You know what I'm saying? And be depressed, anxiety, all these other things that manifest from sleeping around. These are real life.
They are. They are
diagnosis.
You
know what I'm saying? This is real life. You know what I'm saying? And everyone, that's my problem. The modern women today don't look at sex as more than just sex.
No,
they don't look at it full circle. That's why you have the dumbass women that say that it's an even exchange. It's an even exchange. If I give him pussy, he gives me dick. That's an even exchange. It's not an even exchange. You're giving him so much more than he's giving you.
I disagree.
What happens to their mind, their body, their spirit is not what happens to your mind, your body, your spirit. No. They get their nut off, they're fine. They go. You're not fine.
Depending on
you can convince yourself you're fine, but at the end of the day, the chemical reaction that your body had sleeping with this man, all those other things, the possibility of carrying his child in your womb, all those things he got access to. And all he gave you nothing. Even money ain't enough to make up for the fact that he had access to your womb. That's why marriage comes in the aspect. It's a trade-off of needs. And that's how I've always looked at it. That's the very logical way, in my opinion, for you to look at it. You don't want to cook. Men could cook now. You could cook.
But as a wife,
you could hire someone to do your laundry.
Like there's an obligation. There's a wifely duty. This man married you so you could do the things that he, like you said, a trade-off of needs.
But that looks different for every single marriage.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? So it's unique to every partnership. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some men that cheat. There's some men that cook. You know what I'm saying?
And we love a man that can cook.
There's some men that cook and the woman can't cook. You know what I'm saying? There's all these things, but ain't no man sleeping with you just for some food. You're not trading. Come on. He's not sleeping with you for food and then paying all your bills because you cooked dinner. No, it's so much deeper than that. It's just, I feel like, gosh, I hate to say this. I hate to say this as a girl's girl.
Say it.
Remember how I talked about, I was talking about that with someone else, but we talked about women not holding each other accountable in this society. We don't hold each other accountable. We don't. Especially in the girl culture, it's very hard because we don't want to be held accountable. And when someone does hold us accountable, it's hating or whatever. And I really hate
a lot of women can't take constructive criticism.
They can't.
And a lot of people can't disagree without being able to say, you know what? You do have a very modest and or purist way of looking at things, and I may be a lot more worldly than you, and that's okay. I'm not going to discredit your modesty for my worldliness. My experiences are mine, and God ordained my steps to where I'm more worldly than you. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but also we can't put it all on God. But
no,
I feel what you said.
There has to be an understanding of where my life path was going prior to every hair on your head was designed. Every step, every choice that you made was already preset. That's what I mean. So when I say my opinion comes from my life experiences and your opinion comes from your life experiences, it, as a girl's girl or as a woman holding me accountable, you would have to take that into consideration.
And I think that's oh gosh, that's so great that you said that. Because
spit it out.
Because everyone wants We'll get back to it after break. We're gonna go to break really quick, and then when we come back, we'll talk about why that's a flawed perspective.
Well, let's get to it.
Before break, Flawless mentioned that you have to take into account your worldviews because of where you've been. And the thing is, and it's not to discredit.
A princess in the palace couldn't understand a street rat.
Right.
I'm just being honest. Aladdin and Jasmine couldn't understand Aladdin. but there was some commonality somewhere. And I'm only making the comparison only because I'm just trying to get you to understand.
Right, but
there are
not
penthouses and then there are potholes.
Right, so, but then there's people that built themselves up from a pothole to a penthouse.
Correct, and there are some people that are in the middle. But
right.
My only comparison is from worldly experiences to princess and or pampered experiences or experiences that have protected you from being in certain situations.
And see, so I feel like that doesn't apply to me because I've been in a lot of situations. And I didn't grow up pampered or, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. I just, even through all the situations I've been in, I've had enough faith in God to not let my morals sway. I'm not that I have never went against my morals, but not too far. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's possible because I've had the same temptations as everyone else. You know what I'm saying? I've needed it just as bad as everyone else. I've been at the bottom just like everyone else. Well, not everyone, but you know what I'm saying? I've never let that sway my
belief system.
Right. Yeah. And I think as women, when it comes to holding each other accountable, we have a lot of excuses. We want everyone to feel us. You know, feelings aren't facts. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean feelings aren't valid. But feelings aren't facts. And we want everyone to feel us. When we talk to men, that's why we come to them with a problem. We do something to feel where we're coming from. We want them to understand where we're coming from. But our feelings don't matter. What matters, he heard black and white. He heard, this is what happened. This is why it happened. And here's what you did wrong. But you're like, no, but you don't understand because the backstory, babe, the backstory of it. Like, because remember a year ago, and you don't know how and that's my childhood trauma. Like, because you know I got triggered and that none of that fucking matters.
No, it doesn't.
None of that matters. It's just an excuse. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to women, we have a level of empathy men don't have. You know what I'm saying? And so once all those outside aspects start coming in, it becomes harder to hold each other accountable, but it's still important that someone does the dirty work. And a lot of time I'm the one that does the dirty work.
Doing the dirty work.
And I'm open to being held accountable too. Okay. Because the thing is, a lot of us know better. But we justify it because we feel like, well, it's okay because if you have to say it's okay because, it's not okay.
It's not okay. It's modesty, I feel, in my opinion, although you are very, very correct in a lot of the things that you say. I can agree and I can understand. Modest women, from my perspective of life, their laundry is just a lot harder to find. They are more internal with they're more internal with the things that they don't private with the things that they do in the world versus women who are just more like, hey, if you see it, then you see it, and it is what it is.
I don't believe that. Because me, for example, I'm a very open book. You know what I'm saying? Like when we first met, I told you a lot about myself, and you're like, really? You know what I'm saying? I'm a very open book, and you have to be transparent in order for people to respect you in that aspect, because people have to feel like you understand them to hear you. But that goes back to the women being held accountable. You know what I'm saying? And we don't like that. And this whole movement about marriage being prostitution is literally that. Women don't be. Women don't want to
marriage. I love married people. I grew up in a married household. I had married grandparents.
Did you feel like your grandma was a hoe? Did you feel like grandma was hoeing for your granddaddy?
At times.
Because to me, I couldn't even imagine my grandparents having sex.
Yeah,
I used to think other people didn't have sex. Because I could never see my grandma.
I couldn't imagine it either. I never seen
it. Like,
she wasn't like sexy.
They don't have sex.
Until I went through her things one time, just snooping and found like
pictures. These on.
No, I found pictures. They would take pictures of each other with the old school camera, and it was.
I would be scarred.
I was devastated.
I would be scarred.
But that's when I realized that they were just as human as everybody.
Everyone.
They were just more modest. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was different when I went in my mom's closet and found her sex toys, and I was like, I just want freaky ass lady, you know what I'm saying? And but me going through my grandparents' things and finding, it was hidden, this box of Polaroids of her with her dress hiked up,
right? And I feel like that's the I don't want to say that's the way it's supposed to be, because nothing's wrong with what your mom was doing either, but it's just, I feel like there's level. I don't even want to call it modesty. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's levels to class.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when I think about my great grandmother's still alive, and I think of her as a classy woman. You know what I'm saying?
Those are some of the classiest ones.
Yeah, or even my Nana, I think of her as a very classy woman. Now, one time I did find one of her toys. It was in her pillowcase. I was watching TV.
Oh.
But look, I hope she's not going to see this, but
I hope she doesn't see this.
But no, but she was a very classy woman. You know what I'm saying? And
is that who raised you?
Partially. And you know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's levels to it. Like everyone else sees it as hiding, but it's not really hiding. It's just everyone wasn't meant to see that. You know what I'm saying? It's like
it's not for the world.
It's time and place.
It's a time and place for everything. I agree.
That's what that old school saying, the lady in the street.
And the freak.
You know what I'm saying? And what you do in your sheets with your husband should never be public knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Everyone shouldn't see you as a freak. You know, you lose respect. But by default, your husband loses respect. You know what I'm saying? So when you join each other in marriage, you know what I'm saying? You take on their image and your image, you know what I'm saying? And then also you trade off your needs. It's a partnership.
I feel like it's prostitution.
And I don't think it's prostitution, because there's a lot of, you'll meet some marriages where they be like, I mean, had sex for 3 years, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And sex, I feel like they say men are motivated by sex, but not to the level of marriage.
Motivated by sex, but not to the level of marriage.
Yeah, I don't know any man that got married for sex. I don't know any man because sex is readily available everywhere. So why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? So obviously there's something deeper.
I want to lock down the cow. So if I want to go get other milk, the cow's at home.
No.
I want to lock down the cow that I like. You know, the cow that I like listens to me. The cow that I like.
But so does the other cows. They all.
Not necessarily.
I'm saying the same thing about society.
About the cow that I want to keep at home.
They like something about other cows.
To be less aggressive. It could be less nagging. More understanding of my flaws. The cow at home that I'm trying to lock down forever.
The cow at home is usually more nagging because she know the real you.
Or that changes over time. Because when you marry a person, they don't start off nagging.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like when you marry a person, that y'all honeymoon phase lasts up until it doesn't.
But also like the first year or two of marriage is the hardest years. Like they say the first 5 years.
They say the first 5 years. I've never been married, so I can't attest to marriage. But I've only been able to see.
Because that's when the most revelation happens. Like you're living with this person, you're all the butterflies and rainbows that clouded your vision of who they really were. You can't use that no more. You live with them. You see their habits.
So how long did you live with your husband before you got married? A few months. So your situation was more unique because you got to know him into the marriage more than before the marriage.
Yeah.
Like living together.
Yeah. Because everything was really fast.
Okay. It was more fast paced because of like pregnancy?
Yeah, I was pregnant with our son when we got married. So it was much faster. But
so it was more like you know how the people used to get married like old school, you get married, like they just wasn't playing that. Like
yeah, it was kind of like that. Our belief systems were the same in that
way. So where like when you got pregnant, it wasn't going off. We are married. This is our family.
In a way, because I mean, I was okay with like if that was my reality of being like a, you know what I'm saying. It's not ideal, but I believe in a 2-parent household. So it's like I would advise anyone, if you can make it work with like the father of your children, the mother of your children, that's always going to be the healthiest environment for your kids.
Unless you're just absolutely unhealthy, period.
Yeah, unless like it's abusive or something like that, you know. But back to what I was saying, I feel like a lot of people are projecting all those bad situations and that lack of accountability onto the union of marriage. And I also have noticed a trend, and you might not agree with this, but women convince themselves that they don't want something that they feel like they can't get. Because women can't deal with rejection like men do. And that's because we deal with rejection a lot less. You know, so if I feel like...
Give me an example.
Okay, say you have a friend, you got a rich friend, and her husband just seems to be all that, you know what I'm saying? And in the back of your head, you're like, that's so unrealistic for my life. You'll kind of convince yourself that you don't want marriage.
I feel like that's women who don't look at themselves in a reflective manner.
Yeah, but a lot of women don't.
I'm going to give it about 80%. I'm probably a part of the 5%. I don't even attest to the 80 or the 15.
Most women don't look at themselves in a reflective manner. That's the beauty of marriage. You start to. Because you see everything echoed back to you through your partner.
Because they become mirrors.
But for most women that aren't married. Or even in these long-term fiancé-ships.
Yeah. Fiancé-ships?
To 5.5 year engagement.
It's crazy. If you're not trying to marry me within the first
I've met men that did that
to women.
I've met men that did that to women.
I will give a ring back. I've been proposed 2-3 times. I will give a ring back. You hear me? I will give a ring back.
Sometimes that's better. And then if he really wants to, he'll spin the block. Men always come back around.
And I don't even let you spin the block. After I gave the ring back, we're good.
If he spins the block with the ring and the wedding date,
I gave it back for a reason.
Okay.
I gave the ring back for a reason.
I feel that. But like I said, a lot of women, they're not reflective and they don't take accountability. And they have convinced themselves that they don't want these things that they believe they're not worthy of or they believe they can't get. So when I can't get something, I'll convince myself that I don't even want it.
No, seriously.
You know? And that's what we're dealing with. So it's like, oh, I don't want marriage because it's prostitution. No, you don't want marriage because you devalue yourself publicly for so long that you don't feel like you can find a quality man. You know what I'm saying?
That's a different set of words.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a different set of words.
Like, because that's really the beauty of what our grandmamas did. They kept it in the closet. That doesn't mean that they can't sit down with their baby girl and their people that are close to them and be real and help you. And that's the importance of a nuclear family, because you have your father to help build you on this side. You have your mother or your grandma to help build you on this side and teach you how to be a lady and things like that, and teach you how to keep it in the closet. We're growing up in a society with mothers that didn't have enough time to do that, broken families, fathers that didn't instill morals in their little girls. And so now everyone thinks everything should be loud and out in the open. And you see that in the way we dress, the way women talk, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they're so open.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
We have definitely transitioned.
And so when you see somebody that
traditional values,
right, that knows how to just keep it put up and be a lady in the streets for real, she seems extreme. You know, if our grandma was to be in the world we live in right now, she would seem extreme. But no, she just keeps it put away.
I agree.
And so now women have put everything out, and then they feel like they can't find it. Right. And so they feel like they're never going to find a man. You done did OnlyFans for 7 years, and now you feel like no man's ever going to love you, you know? And so you convince yourself, I don't even want a husband.
No.
I don't even want a man.
I believe in marriage. And when I say I'm going to be a prostitute for my husband whenever I get married. I'm his prostitute and he's mine. But I don't look at it in
but it's not
a negative sense.
But there's a negative sense to it.
It's not, because I'm not thinking of it as an exchange of sex for money. I'm thinking of any exchange of anything.
But that's not prostitution. Prostitution is bartering? Sex. Yes, you could call it bartering, but prostitution is exchanging.
Well, I'm calling it long-term bartering.
Yeah, you could be in a long-term bartership, whatever you want to do. But prostitution is when it's explicitly sex. Prostitution is a word reserved for explicitly selling sex, whether that be for goods or money. Explicitly selling sex.
Okay.
Well, and that's not what marriage is, because we all know men, and we know that sex don't really move them that much. Yeah, it might move them a little until they get that post-nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity is a real thing.
It is. And women, we have the opposite effect. What? It gets cloudier after the sex.
No, men, I get post-nut clarity.
I don't think so.
I do.
I don't believe it.
I get post-nut clarity.
I think that women want to give off the illusion that we're so much stronger than we are, but that it's like, we don't have to do that because there's so much beauty in not being
it's beautiful at being a submissive or a woman who's in her femininity. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I am a logical female who does not think with her emotions. That's why I say I'm the 5%. I literally don't have the confusion associated with sex that most women have. I don't. I have post-nut clarity. I'm like, damn, I just did this. Am I gonna do this again tomorrow? I don't think so. Like, this wasn't probably something that I probably should have partake.
So then maybe
don't like things about you like that.
So then that's the problem. And then remember how we were talking earlier about like how you do things over time and it starts to desensitize like that. But if you were dealing with a person that is, you know, all that, you know, it would have that effect on you.
Yeah.
Because afterwards you'd be like, shit, when you want some something else, Jody? We're learning.
Yeah.
You
know?
I
can understand that.
And that's most women, but maybe not as much because they have been giving it away to everyone that has. Yeah, because they're giving it away to anybody that has $5. Maybe not $5, but because that's how much the OnlyFans counts. Maybe like $5, $10.
It could be just like that. It could.
Yeah, so you're giving it away to anybody that got a couple dollars. So now it's like you desensitize.
Okay, well I'll call it a bartership. I won't call it prostitution. Yeah. Even though I think that's just a more...
Now, if you marry a man that you know you're fucking for his money, then you prostituted yourself. Don't put that on the marriage.
I don't put it on the marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem. If you want to call y'all situations prostitutes because you done Cassied yourself.
No, not Cassied yourself.
You done got with this man that you knew was no good.
Oh my god.
And you used it for you know what I'm saying, for what you could get out of it. And then later on you felt disgusted with yourself, you felt used, you felt this, you felt that. Call it that. So don't put that on marriage.
Don't put that on the marriage.
Because we're not doing
Okay, you're not doing that. And other people, you know, that feel the way that you aren't doing it. And
that's why sometimes they be having... My man doesn't right now. I don't know about 10 years now. Who knows what the future holds?
Right.
I'm not going to say never, but right now that I know of ain't no mistress. You know what I'm saying? But if he decides to go get a mistress, it's probably because she's going to do some shit I said is not for me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And
so are there boundaries with you in your marriage? Do you say no to your husband? What do you say no to your husband for? I believe in marriage there shouldn't be a no. There should always be compromise. There should never be a no.
When there's times that, well, that's not true. I mean, and that's why people probably start to feel like that because they don't know how to say no. Part of growing into that womanhood is standing firm in your boundaries because it'll make him respect you more too. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I say there's compromise.
Yeah.
Never a no.
Okay.
Always a compromise.
Yeah. So maybe that's a better word, a compromise. It's like there's been not right nows. You know what I'm saying? Or there's been no, like if I'm pissed off, no, we're not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've never felt obligated to like sleep with him. I mean, yeah, sometimes you like, just get over it, you know? But that's not prostitution because I still did it. I didn't do it for he didn't leave $50 on the nightstand, you know? He didn't say
but he got up and went to work the next day just to make sure
if that's the dynamic y'all have, but every husband ain't working, pulling his weight. Exactly, like you said.
So there are people who marry men who are not pulling their weight, so they cannot classify.
Or even if you might have determined as a woman that his weight is only 50%, then that's on you again. So I mean, every man ain't paying all the bills. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men aren't paying all the bills. Most men aren't. So you know what I'm saying? So that's not even. I
get that.
The argument ain't even realistic for the day we live in. You know what I'm saying? No, the women that are claiming to be prostitutes are paying more bills than he is. How are you being prostituted, Miss Ma'am?
Correct.
When you was letting him sleep on your couch, how are you being prostituted when he moved into your place?
Correct.
How are you being prostituted when he's driving your car? He's the prostitute. He's the prostitute. Yeah. How are you being prostituted when you've had a ring for 5.5 years?
He's selling dick,
essentially. Right. Like you're not selling pussy for marriage because he's not marrying you.
Correct.
Because pussy don't move men in that way.
I can agree with that it doesn't always move them. Now, desire will move men.
For sure.
Desire will move
But the only way to keep the desire alive is to hold it to yourself.
Hold it to yourself because I am a cookie holder. I'm a cookie holder. I'm telling you, it's that every single time. So that has been our episode. This is Ying to Her Yang on Afrovibes.
Make sure you guys catch us next week.
I'm Flawless.
And I got dynamite, yeah. Come and waste my time. Look me in my eyes. Let me ease your mind. I know you heard about me, cause all of your friends wanna get in my jeans. But they can't fit this. Never get the chance to hit this. You so different. So how about you on the hit list? And I go crazy. Wanna find out better.